Think about neighborhoods near airports. Excessive noise from flights creates a negative externality, lowering residents' quality of life. Without intervention, overproduction of flights at all hours can occur. Direct government regulation, like setting limits on flight times or noise levels, can address this market failure by reducing the social cost of overproduction. In this video, we'll model how regulations can realign market outcomes with societal well-being. Solution 2 to fix the negative externality problem is direct regulation of pollution levels. This would be a command and control system is another way this is referred to. This is not a market-based solution to fix negative externalities. Corrective taxes and cap and trade, they're going to harness the power of the market to solve the externality problem as efficiently as possible. Not this. Direct regulation is not going to do this. And so there's incentives here for the firms where it's going to be cheap to reduce pollution. They're going to reduce pollution. The firms where it's expensive to reduce pollution, they don't reduce pollution. If you do direct regulation or command and control, this is basically like everybody has to reduce pollution by the same amount, okay, or to the same level. Right? That's going to mean it's going to be the cheap firms are going to have to reduce pollution and the expensive firms are going to have to reduce pollution. Okay. All right. Sometimes taxes and cap and trade won't work. So when that's not possible, sometimes we need to turn to laws, rules, and regulations. So examples of command and control or direct regulation. Every car has to have a catalytic converter on it. A catalytic converter is a part that's going to clean a lot of the very worst of the noxious gases that the gas is going to burn. That's going to make the air really, really dirty and bad for you. So back in this, prior to the 1970s, these things weren't required, and cars would put off very noxious gas, making the air pretty dirty for people to breathe. And so we wanted to fix that problem. And so all cars have to have these catalytic converters, and now the air is much cleaner because of them. Right? So the direct regulation was like every car must have one of these things. Okay. Other examples of direct regulation, this would be gas mileage standards that you see. Like cars have to be able to do X amount of miles per gallon of gasoline on average. The tighter you make that, that's like every car has to do this, right? And so that's going to be a direct regulation. Another one is saying like some sort of pollution standard for fossil fuel fired power plants. So the EPA has proposed new carbon pollution standards for that back in 2023. And so it's going to propose standards for coal and new natural gas fired power plants would avoid more than 600 million metric tons, blah, blah, blah. All right. And so the idea is like they can't pollute more than X amount. Doesn't matter if you're coal, doesn't matter if you're natural gas, you just can't pollute more than X amount for that. These are all examples of direct regulation. These are going to, in general, be more expensive than if we did taxes or a cap and trade. And in a later video, I'll show you why these things will be more expensive. But sometimes you might want to do this because it's going to be very helpful. So in the United States, we used to have very dirty air and very dirty water back in the 1940s through 1960s. That was before the Clean Air Act came in. This was a highly successful program to clean up the United States air. It was very dirty. Have you ever seen news stories about India or China in Beijing where they have like very, very bad smog from pollutants in the air? The U.S. used to be like that until the Clean Air Act of 1967. In 1970, the EPA was created to oversee all environmental laws, and then in 1972, Congress passed the Clean Water Act to clean up the waterways as well. Right. So in general, these acts are largely responsible for America's cleaner air and water. And so in the U.S., we've mainly done direct regulation in the past. We haven't done these market-based strategies. And so economists have been trying to push these market-based strategies because we think they're better. But sometimes it's easier politically to get through these direct regulations.